Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, what do Hubert Ingram and Perry Christie think of an early election? The PLP leader challenges the PM to a debate. The Yellow Elder man accused of stealing F&M posters. And could higher COVID cases mean tighter restrictions? Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram says he is distressed by the COVID-19 situation in the country. This as Ingram and former Prime Minister Perry Christie also weighed in on an early election and what the possible outcome may be. Jared Higgs reports.
Do you have any views on their prospects for winning as the former leader?
No, I have no views whatsoever.
That was former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram's response when asked about the F&M's chances in the next election. Speaking to reporters on the sideline of the viewing of A.D. Hanna's body, Ingram, who led the country from 1992 to 2002, then again from 2007 to 2012, was also asked to react to the snap election. He says after his own snap election in 1997, he realized there was a need for more stability when holding elections. He said subsequent to that election, he and former Prime Minister Perry Christie called an election every 5 years in May, starting in 2002.
I thought the public ought to have a good idea as to when elections are going to be held. We gave everybody an opportunity to register to vote. We announced in advance, listen, if you want to register to vote in this election, please register by the end of the month or by the 15th or whatever day it was, and gave people lots of time to be able to register, transfer their voters, etc. That's what I did.
Ingram was tight-lipped when asked more about his comments. However, he did express grave concern for the country's current health situation.
I'm very distressed, very, very distressed. And in my view, it did not have to be this way. It should not have been this way. But here we are. That's what we are. That's what we got. And I think we got to all work towards getting out of it. But I'm very distressed.
Christie, who led the country between 2002 and 2007, and again between 2012 and 2017, also weighed in on the election.
Given the snap election, prime ministers have the right to do that. He indicated that he wanted fixed elections himself, but he didn't do it.
Christie pointed out that nobody has won a second term since Ingram did it in 1997. He says he thinks ministers will fall victim like he and Ingram did during recent elections.
Unless someone can come in and create 80,000 jobs, they're not going to win an election. All right? Because there are just too many people in too many different places, particularly young people, who are out of work and have been out of work for a long time. And I was the victim of it in terms of election. Ingram was the victim of it in terms of election. I think ministers will be the victim of it.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
3 cabinet ministers are defending the Prime Minister's decision to hold a snap election in the middle of the worst surge in COVID-19 infections in the country. Jasmine Brown reports.
Cabinet ministers coming to the defense of the Prime Minister's decision to hold a general election as COVID cases continue to mount. Deputy Prime Minister Desmond Bannister, National Security Minister Marvin Dames, and Health Minister Renard Wells insisted outside Cabinet that the appropriate health measures will be in place for the September 16th vote. Dames, who has ministerial responsibility for elections, challenged the critics.
There are persons out there who will come and say these things, but they can't offer you any sensible alternative. And I say, well, this is not a good time. All right, if it's not a good time, when is a good time?
Though the next general election is not due until May 2022, Dr. Minnis announced last week that it will be held on September 16th, even as cases in August have already surpassed those recorded during any other month since the pandemic began. More than 2,600 cases have been confirmed so far this month. Bannister says given the current situation, a quick election was the smartest move.
It's very important for us to have the election in the shortest possible period of time. It's important for the government to have a mandate on what we're doing. The Bahamian people can say what they want in governance. but it's also important for it to be as short as possible, and that's what we're doing.
Meantime, Wells says health officials are working to create specific health protocols to guide the campaign and election process.
When you look to the American election back in November that took place in the height of COVID with no vaccines, you had two models of the way you could conduct an election. You had the Republican Party that held in-person rallies, massive rallies. You had the Democratic Party that held rallies that were simply automobile rallies where persons sat in their vehicles while someone stood on stage and spoke to them. And so I think that political parties ought to continue to be responsible.
Now, one thing those cabinet ministers say they plan on doing is ensuring those campaigns are run as smoothly and safely as possible. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
A 41-year-old man arrested in connection with the removal of F&M posters pleaded not guilty to one count of stealing in the magistrate's court today. It is alleged that between Friday and Sunday, Matthew Omar Sandilan stole 55 Free National Movement It's About Your Future posters valued at $495. The posters were attached to utility poles on Melbourne Road, Yellow Elder Gardens, and are the property of the F&M Mount Moriah constituency. Magistrate Shaka Serville granted Sandilan's $500 bail. He returns to court on December 1st for trial. And as Bahamians prepare to head to the polls, Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis says he has written to Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis challenging him to a debate. In a video released this morning, Davis says it's time to show Bahamians who has the better plan for the country.
When he called the snap election last week, the Prime Minister said the country needs to choose which leader it believes can lead us out of the present crises. I agree. We need a reset. And so today, I've written to Hubert Minnis challenging him to a public debate. Elections are all about choice. And to make an informed choice, voters need to shine a spotlight on those who seek to represent them. They need to scrutinize closely the solutions being proposed, and they need to have faith that the promises made will be kept.
Davis added a debate would be a sign of a healthy democracy.
Around the world, debates are considered an essential component of a healthy democracy. And so I say to the Prime Minister, let's put the choice squarely in front of the Bahamian people. Come and debate me. Let's answer the tough questions. Show up and put your track record and your plans before the Bahamian people. I will gladly do the same. The clock is ticking fast towards Election Day, so we must move quickly. Let's make the choice real. Prime Minister, I am confident that the Bahamian people are ready for a new day. Are you?
And there are no plans to tighten restrictions in the foreseeable future, according to Health Minister Renward Wells, who says health officials have not suggested the measure as a way to clamp down on the recent surge in COVID cases.
My understanding at this point in time is there isn't a recommendation for stricter measures other than the recommendation for the Bahamian people to continue to adhere to the measures that are in place. The EOC, the Emergency Operating Center, is going to be meeting again tomorrow, Wednesday, where all of the data is going to be looked at again. And obviously recommendations will come out of that EOC meeting. And based on those recommendations, we have been a very responsive and responsible government in how we have sought to respond to our national circumstance.
As officials push for more residents to be vaccinated, questions have been raised about illegal migrants getting the jab. Here's how Works Minister Desmond Bannister responded to that.
I believe the Prime Minister has asked everybody to vaccinate, and I hope that people are going to vaccinate. And take the opportunity based on the invitation. You know, we have the major vaccines here now, 3 of them.
If they show up at one of the vaccination centers.
I think it's important. Vaccination centers are not immigration centers.
In other news, 6 years after a gruesome run-in with police left a man with missing teeth and wrongfully imprisoned, he has been awarded $163,000. Tonight, his attorney is calling it a win for justice. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Police brutality brought to the forefront yet again after a man was awarded today $163,000 by the Supreme Court for an incident that happened back in 2015.
While he was in custody, they never gave him any treatment.
A long majority rule weekend in 2015. Then 32-year-old Lataria Roll sat in a cell in Elizabeth Estates Police Station with a bloody mouth after 2 of his teeth were knocked out and 6 others were left shaky. He wasn't taken to a clinic nor given any medical help. It all stemmed from a simple walk he took that ended with him being accosted by police.
One of the officers, without his permission, picked up his cell phone, started rifling through the pictures. And at that time he saw, I think he claimed to have seen pictures of maybe some guns in the WhatsApp profile.
Police, then seeing those pictures, reportedly assumed Roll had those firearms and conducted a search. The victim was then taken to his home but didn't have his key. So the door was kicked down by police and Roll was allegedly dragged.
They rifled through his belongings, didn't find any guns, didn't find any contraband. What they did find was his belongings, some PlayStation, games.
Police then accused Roll of stealing his own belongings and seized them. According to the ruling handed down by Assistant Registrar Ronaldo Toot, a Corporal Moultrie charged at him while still cuffed and began repeatedly punching him in the face. One of the plaintiff's tooth flew out of his mouth and another was loosened. Despite this, the plaintiff was denied medical attention while detained in police custody. A dental reporter later disclosed that the plaintiff will eventually lose 6 teeth in total as a result of the damage. Roll spent about 10 days in police custody.
He was charged for possession, illegal possession. He was prosecuted for that. Of what? Of his own goods.
Police never showed up to court, and about a year later it was dismissed. But today, justice. Roll being awarded $163,000 in damages for false imprisonment, among other things. Registrar Toot in his ruling saying, "Indeed, it is evident that the conduct of the police was oppressive with an overture of high-handedness, representing a total disregard for the plaintiff's constitutional rights. Let me say for the record that the Attorney General's conduct in this matter was rather distasteful and most disheartening as representatives of the state. The matter was attended to with no care or urgency."
We don't hope it happens to us, but this could happen to us, our family members.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, it was a breezy morning in the capital today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christine, and welcome everybody for your first look at weather. Very warm and hazy conditions outside our studios right now. We do still have some of that Saharan dust hanging around. Temperatures still in the mid-80s. 85 is our current temperature right now. Winds out of the east at 8 knots, and your feel-like temperature in the mid to upper 80s as well. Satellite view, that moisture that was hanging across the northwest Bahamas has exited towards the west, but we have a big upper level low that's spinning to the east of the islands, dragging in some moisture across the islands. We will continue to see some unsettled weather beginning tonight, and that should continue into tomorrow morning as well. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, the tourism minister responds to a U.S. travel advisory. Plus, could there be special provisions for voters in quarantine? The details after this.
The Great True True Bahamian Treasure Hunt is here, where you can win great vacation prize packages to hotels throughout the Bahamas. Watch Our TV on weeknights between 6 and 11 p.m. for your 10 True True Bahamian clues. Take note of your answers and clues. You never know, you might see the same clue twice. Follow Our TV Originals on Facebook to submit your correct answers before 11 a.m. every Saturday. Watch Our News Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. to see if you are the weekly winner. If you didn't win, watch for clues next week because the contest runs all summer long. Go to Our TV Originals Facebook page for more information and contest details.
With more than 3,300 active COVID-19 cases in the country, National Security Minister Marvin Dames says officials will clarify how or if people in quarantine will be able to exercise their right to vote.
What we expect is that for every Bahamian to be able to exercise their right to vote. Now, we know that is not always the case because of circumstances, but we'll certainly have to bring some more clarity to that. I mean, as it stands now, if you are supposed to be quarantined, then you ought to be quarantined. But we'll bring some more clarity to that sometime during the course of today.
PR PLP election coordinator Valentine Grimes tells the Nassau Guardian the party wrote Acting Parliamentary Commissioner Lovato Duncanson asking that special provisions be made to allow certain voters in quarantine to cast their ballot. And a new travel advisory cautioning American citizens not to travel to the Bahamas was inevitable, according to Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar. However, he says when comparing the COVID situation in the U.S. and the Bahamas, the United States would be a level 6. Berthany McDermott reports.
Unfazed by a U.S. travel advisory urging Americans not to travel to the Bahamas amid high levels of COVID-19, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar said while the Bahamas is seeing record cases, it's still far better than current conditions in the United States. He is confident about visitor numbers heading into the fall season.
You know, despite our numbers being what they are, they're a hell of a lot better than the United States. And so 90% of our foreign visitors come from the United States. And if they were to be truthful to themselves and they were to rank themselves, they would be like a level 6.
August is on track to see the most COVID-19 cases since the start of the pandemic. So far, more than 2,600 cases were recorded this month, with more than 140 Bahamians in hospital. However, de Aguilar maintains the country is a secure place.
The Bahamas is a safe place. We have entry protocols which have proven to be safe. And, you know, we've clamped down or tightened some of our protocols for persons coming in by air and persons coming in by cruise ship. And, you know, we're walking that fine line that the Prime Minister always talks about. We got to keep our economy open because we need to live and we need to eat, but at the same time maintaining some safety.
This latest advisory comes 2 months after the Bahamas was moved to a less serious level 3. The tourism minister said it was inevitable.
The number of cases, positive cases, had been increasing for quite some time. And I guess it's the result of, and why the message has constantly been from the government, that everybody get vaccinated.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Meanwhile, as students return to the virtual classroom on Monday, Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd made a case for online learning last night during his back-to-school address. Giorgio Bain reports.
Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd defended the decision to start the new school year on a virtual platform while noting that if the public health care situation improves, students could return to face-to-face learning.
It is now an indisputable fact that the country's health resources, both public and private, are fully maximized. And while our schools are generally safe with a healthcare system already under severe strain, the ministry considers that out of an abundance of caution regarding containment of the possible spread of COVID-19, the Ministry of Education considers that online instruction is best at this time to assist the country in reducing the chances of experiencing a spike in COVID-19 cases.
Lloyd encouraged private schools to use the virtual platform as well, but insisted that those interested in using the face-to-face format must seek written permission from the Ministry of Education.
We understand the difficulty that students face while attempting to concentrate on his or her lessons in these very tough times. We increase the availability of psychological and social counseling sessions for our students, their parents, and our educators. We put in place hotlines.
Bahamas Teachers Union President Belinda Wilson applauded the decision to move forward with virtual learning given the current wave of COVID-19 cases in country. However, she said several questions still need to be answered ahead of the August 30th opening.
Is the Ministry of Education virtual platform adequate for 100,000 users? Can all students, teachers, and parents access the platform? Has the 30% or more than 14,000 students who never accessed the platform from its inception, have they been identified? Has alternative arrangements been made to ensure that they receive adequate education and access to the learning platform?
Wilson added that there is no secret that there were problems with the virtual platform last school year, and she hopes that those kinks have been worked out.
Is there sufficient internet access and connectivity in the 171 schools throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, from Grand Bahama to Inagua?
Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Still to come, the latest on government's efforts to eliminate shantytowns and remembering A.D. Hannah. Stay with us.
The great True Bahamian Treasure Hunt is here, where you can win great vacation prize packages to hotels throughout the Bahamas. Watch our TV on weeknights between 6 and 11 p.m. for your 10 True Bahamian clues. Take note of your answers and clues. You never know, you might see the same clue twice. Follow our TV originals on Facebook to submit your correct answers before 11 a.m. every Saturday. Watch our news Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. to see if you are the weekly winner. If you didn't win, watch for clues next week because the contest runs all summer long. Go to our TV originals Facebook page for more information and contest details.
This is our news. Welcome back. Minister of Works Desmond Bannister insisting today that the government has not forgotten about the push to rid the country of illegal communities.
We are monitoring all of these things that are happening. And the minute there's an opportunity to protect the health of the Bahamian people, we're going to take that opportunity and we're going to follow up with it.
In June, the Supreme Court ordered the government to cease and desist further demolitions in shantytowns on Abaco and ruled that the government must get approval from the court if it wishes to demolish structures in shantytowns on the island.
We are a law-abiding government. We abide by what the court says. We are still waiting for the ruling of the court on the issues that are before it. And whenever the court makes a decision, we'll be able to analyze it and be able to take a step from there.
In other news, parliamentarians past and present paying their respects to the late Arthur Dion Hannah as his body lies in state today. Hannah, who served as Deputy Prime Minister for 17 years and is the father of Englerston MP Glenys Hannah Martin, died on August 3rd at the age of 93. Former Prime Minister Perry Christie says the former Governor General will be fondly remembered for his influence on the Bahamianization policy.
It reflected an extraordinary and awesome love for country and confidence that the Bahamian could do anything and be anything once he puts his or her mind to it. And so again, that Bahamianization will last forever and ever. It's a standard that must be recognized and I think lived up to by governments in the future.
Hannah notably refused a knighthood from the Queen. Former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram says despite pleading with Hannah to accept the offer, which was extended again by Buckingham Palace after his time as Governor General, the answer remained no.
The one regret I had is I begged him to accept the award of a knighthood because it was the usual thing for a Governor General. And even after he was admitted in office, the palace wrote to me saying that it was still available to him. And he thought in any foreign awards, he wanted to be one of the Bahamian awards. He died as a Bahamian.
Still to come, how's the weather shaping up for nomination day? Find out after this.
The great True Bahamian Treasure Hunt is here, where you can win great vacation prize packages to hotels throughout the Bahamas. Watch our TV on weeknights between 6 and 11 p.m. for your 10 True Bahamian clues. Take note of your answers and clues. You never know, you might see the same clue twice. Follow our TV originals on Facebook to submit your correct answers before 11 a.m. every Saturday. Watch our news Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. to see if you are the weekly winner. If you didn't win, watch for clues next week because the contest runs all summer long. Go to our TV originals Facebook page for more information and contest details.
Welcome back to our news. Breeze picking up as we move into the week. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. That upper level low that was spinning to the east of the Bahamas now moving towards the west, bringing with it some tropical moisture across the area. We will begin to see some showers and some isolated thunderstorms tonight, and that should continue into tomorrow as that system continues to pull towards the west. Dragging with that actually some more moisture to the south. A tropical wave down to the south of Hispaniola continues to move towards the west as well. We still have some trailing moisture associated with what was Henri. Is still hanging out towards the north and west of the Bahamas. All of that will combine to keep weather unsettled through tomorrow. So look for some showers and thunderstorms. The tropics, of course, that tropical wave near the northern coast of Venezuela will continue to move towards the west. That should transition to a tropical depression or a tropical storm by the time it gets into Mexico. A couple of tropical waves out there as well. Boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. East to southeast winds 15 to 25 knots. Advisory posted, while in the southeast Bahamas a caution flag for you guys. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, 4 to 6 foot seas. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. Couple of tropical waves out there, but those do not pose any problems for us at this time. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.